Blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen. Cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
Ah,
Hayden, what have you done?
my headphones.
My God.
Okay. Whew.
Hayden breaking equipment as soon as we start.
I mute Blake and then I immediately scream and rip out my headphones and then
I can unmute myself.
it was a heinous dab. I think I'm just gonna open every week by muting Blake just to make sure.
I think that's a great call.
He just gets a little too excited, everybody.
I do.
Welcome back to Blurst, everybody. Today is Tuesday, December 6th. I'm Hayden Cummins, joined once again by Bleezy Blake and Crispy Kais.
Oh,
Ooh.
crispy. I like that.
Is that good? I think it's
I like
good.
that.
Well, you know, it could be taken both ways, but I'm going to take it good.
What's up? What's up?
I think Crispy's
Yeah.
a good one. I like that a lot. What's up, everybody? Yeah, awesome weekend of sports.
Very.
It sucked watching US lose on Saturday morning, especially like. No,
Forgot
it's not like I'm not saying it's the biggest deal in the world because we're not there yet. We know that, but man, you had every opportunity to win that game.
Yeah.
Woo, tough.
I've been just trying to stay dry. Hayden, I'm not sure how the weather is up there, but goodness, Blake, I know you. I'm sure up in G Vegas, you've been.
I'm not.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
I-
I moved.
I'm not
but yes,
used to you.
it's still a ton of rain though. Still a ton
Every
of
time
rain.
I think of you, I
Tell
still think
everybody
of
your
Hicksville.
address.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
in case
is
we wanna send you
1, 2,
presents.
3, 4. Yeah. And the
Social?
funny part is I keep forgetting I live close to all of my friends again. I haven't seen any of y'all since I moved here, so I got to
Mhm.
figure that out.
You do.
That's
Busy,
just.
though.
You do.
I think that's just being an adult, man. I think that's
God,
what
it
it is. This is the most I see my friends every. Well, I mean,
Fair. But
I
yeah,
guess
it's
I did.
been
I did move 2,000 miles away.
it's been cold as shit and pouring down
Yeah, it's
rain
cold.
all
And you know what's
day
crazy?
here. I
In
don't think it
Georgia-
stopped once.
In particular, Georgia fashion is supposed to hit 70 on Wednesday.
Right.
So, and then we'll get back to a cold weekend again. So you know how that goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
what an awesome weekend of sports, wins and losses, drama. I mean, it's a great time to be talking about Atlanta sports. That is for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it?
Oh yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
It
Is
is.
This is a good time to be an Atlanta fan. I
yeah.
don't know, but to talk about Atlanta sports, hell yeah, never a bad
Indeed.
time.
I forgot to set this timer.
Oh,
Oh, for shit.
You got something?
but
to add
anyway.
there?
No, I always time you guys because you just keep talking and.
I just like
Jib
talking to my
jabbing.
friends so much.
Yeah.
Since I won last week, can I start with the blurst of the week this week?
Wow, winner goes first.
let me hit the button real quick.
Worst of the week.
I love that one.
Have we talked about how that is so eerily close to the music for the Champions League?
Oh,
it-
is it?
It is, and I don't mean like as we should be worried in a copyright fashion. I think we're fine.
They should be worried.
Yeah, they should be worried. That's right, Blake.
We are
But yeah,
extremely
no, it's-
popular in England. So
Yes, every single time it starts, I think that Hayden's playing the Champions League. game.
And today, Manchester
I
United
love
take
it.
the field against.
Yeah,
Yeah. So for my blurst of the week this week, I wanted to go away from our main sports here because we typically talk Georgia football, and this time I'm going Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech announced this past week hiring Brent Key as their new head coach. This comes days after there were rumors, and like by rumors I mean like big time Atlanta sports media were reporting that Willie Fritz is going to be hired by Georgia Tech. And this is a blurst for me because one, they fumbled the Willie Fritz hiring. Apparently, like Willie Fritz did not want to be announced until after the bowl game. He really wanted to win that championship and then go win the bowl game and then decide. But Georgia Tech announced it really early, which kind of put Willie Fritz in a weird situation. And he decided to stick with Tulane, which I actually think is a good thing for the Georgia Tech. I don't know if Brent Key is the answer, but I just think hiring Willie Fritz after, I don't know, he's 60-something years old. He's kind of fumbled around a lot. He finally found his place in Tulane.
yeah.
Let him have it there. And Brent Key, he's a Georgia Tech guy. I don't know. I just think it's a good young hire, and he brought exciting football to them.
I totally agree, especially with the dodging Willie Fritz part. Because
Yes.
if you're a program like what Georgia Tech should be, and you're hiring a coach from Tulane, that coach needs to be the new up and comer. Like he needs to be like
Yep.
like he went from Grand Valley State to Tulane, and now he's going to Georgia Tech. Willie Fritz has been all over. He has
Yeah.
a losing record as a head coach, and like you said, he's just now kind of found a spot where things have worked for him, and that's not the type of hire you want.
Nope, 100% agreed.
It feels like, I mean, I feel like I missed this news during the week too, because I'm pretty sure we said last week like it was basically a done deal, and so it feels like Tech fucked up a hire so bad that they're like, oh, I guess we better just keep who's here.
Yeah.
But it's going to work out for him, I think, because I think he's a
agree.
talented coach, and
Yeah.
I would rather have seen him go elsewhere.
When they announced it, the players were ecstatic, which is like, that's what you want to see. You want to see players happy that they're announcing the guys that they liked and they championed for them. It's coming back. So no, I think it's a huge hire for them. He had some strong words at his press conference talking about how he wants to dominate the Dawgs. So good luck, man.
Pull that up.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go, but that is what you want to shoot.
You want to hear it though. It's good to
you
hear.
do.
That.
No, I'm not faulting him for it at all. I'm not. Is it going to get played over and over on TikTok compilations this time next year? Sure.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, it will be. But
all right, Brent Key said, "We have an opponent in this state that we will work 365 days to defeat, to dominate." Cool. I mean, you have to appreciate that as a player, but you also have to watch what happened in the SEC championship, and you got to be worried that you're going to be picked up by someone like Jalen Carter and just manhandled completely.
Yes. Gosh, yes.
So, all right, Aaron, let's move on to your Blursed of the week.
Okay, yeah. So my B of the week is going to be the fact that Ohio State got put at the 4 seed and in the college football playoff picture, and we were the top overall seed, as we should be. And the reason I think that's Blursed is because it was so cool to see us win a SEC championship. That was the thing that got, the one thing that eluded us last year was that being 13-0, Stetson having just one of the best games I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
from a Georgia quarterback in a big game. And then the rankings come out, and the way it's supposed to work, the reason you seed off teams is so that the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed have better matchups for they've earned the right to be the 1 seed, so they get the opponent that is supposed to be the worst of the 4, right? Well, to me, that is not what happened at all. Georgia, in fact, got the one opponent that I am worried about, or the toughest opponent matchup wise.
Really?
And I think, I truly believe that.
I don't know if I fully agree, but I do agree with your take that it's a hard matchup with the way they air the ball out.
Yes. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'm by no means saying that I think we're going to lose, but I do think it's just, to see TCU, I've never in my entire life seen a team lose and not go down in rankings. For the entirety that I've been paying attention to sports, I've never seen someone lose and stay at the same spot. And we saw that. And I think it was the committee. The committee knows they should have put TCU at 4 and OSU at 3. And this was a purely TV move. And I'm not saying I blame them. It is going to make for a better matchup. But Georgia gets their toughest opponent, and they avoid the immediate Michigan-Ohio State rematch.
So I have a different stance on that. And my stance is like, USC lost handily to Utah, which is why they're out of the top 4 now, as they should be. But something I read was like, you shouldn't penalize conference champion people who are playing the conference championship compared to teams who aren't playing for anything, because they had their chance and they screwed up. They messed up. But hold up, let me finish.
Okay.
Like the Alabamas, the Ohio States. The thing with TCU is, I felt like based on their loss, that it wasn't a bad loss. They actually should have won the game. I mean, their coach runs the ball with their quarterback on those 2 downs in a row. They do win that game. But I think TCU is more deserving of the 3rd seed than Ohio State is. And I just think because Ohio State got waxed from Michigan.
I saw that argument, and I thought about it for a little bit. And my only rebuttal to that would just be that, yes, I see your point. They weren't playing a game. They didn't have an opportunity to lose. Like
so
TCU
why punish
did.
the team that?
Well, here's why. But here's why. They were playing a 3-loss Kansas State team. If you can't beat a 3-loss Kansas State team, regardless of what Ohio State's doing, then I don't think that you should be at the number 3 spot.
Have you seen the state of Kansas? They should win that game.
Right.
No doubt.
How Kansas was the TCU playing a Kansas team that had a number 10 beside their name was the biggest gift they could have gotten, because there's no way that Kansas State team is the 10th best team in the country. How they got there, I really don't know. But
easy conference. I mean, I think the thing is I wish we had a 12-team playoff this year. Like, I really like this year would have been so much fun watching Alabama and Tennessee, because those teams would upset a lot of these teams ahead of them. So it would have been fun to watch.
I'm such an old man. I think I mature a little bit early. You guys know that about me, but I don't know. I don't like change. Okay.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Middle-aged man yelling at cloud over here.
One thing I know we need to get to Hayden's, but one thing about the 12-team playoff that I think other people aren't looking at is the fact that it makes conference championship games even more meaningful to those teams like an LSU or a Kansas State that, let's say they pull the upset in that game like K-State did.
And now they make the playoff.
Now they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where they wouldn't have otherwise.
I agree. I think it's really cool. I'm excited for it.
Anyway, all right.
How about you just earn it? Earn it in the season. Jeez. You had fucking Nick Saban just whining about not being able to get in or like just selling it, and I get it. That's
but no two-loss teams ever made it
job.
in there.
Yeah.
No two-loss. Win one more game, dude.
I had a different perspective on why I thought that it would be Ohio State number 3 matched up against Michigan. Just because it is the largest rivalry in college football.
But they just played.
Like the amount of fans.
Played.
Yeah, I get that, but like the chances that both of them make it through to the championship, I think is pretty low.
Oh, for sure.
True, but I think that was the TV move. That's why I said that, because you want OSU. That's another thing that sucks for Georgia. Now we're facing an OSU team that has on the horizon a rematch with the team that just embarrassed them, looking beyond us. Like that's
good for us. Because we're about to smack them.
No. I mean,
guess they haven't
the
played.
Motivation.
Or have they played one game?
What?
Ohio State hasn't played since losing to Michigan.
No, they had a week off. Correct. So they've had a week off already.
Oh, wow.
So Kirby said after the game, he goes, I would love to give my boys a week off, but he goes, they've had a week off and they're already practicing. He goes, so we're going to get back at it. He's like,
and he's 100% right.
Yeah, he is right.
Not that I'm worried about the matchup or anything like that. I mean, I think we are the best team in football. We just have
I'll
to
pick
play,
Georgia
we
plus
just
the
play
points.
that way.
Yeah.
And I kind of think we big dog Michigan a little bit after last year. That has to be in the back of everybody's head, every fan, as much as they talk shit leading up to that game too.
Yes.
Anyways, I'll leave
Hayden,
it there.
Yeah.
My Blursed of the week, the big NL East signings. Verlander signs with the Mets immediately after DeGrom moved on to the Rangers, and then today the Phillies signed Trey Turner to an 11-year, $300 million deal. So the reason that's Blursed is because obviously it sucks seeing your rivalries or your rivals signing notable players, superstars. You're going to have to see them a bunch throughout the next 10 years now.
Is that 2 former Nationals playing for the Phillies? Trey Turner and Bryce Harper, 2 of their best players. Yeah.
Yep. And at the same time, these teams, they continue to sign these large free agents, and they come into these same contract issues where the player, 5 or 6 years down the road, they're not going to be the same. And that's especially the case for Trey Turner, who his largest skill set and most consistent skill set is his speed. And that's the first thing that's going to fall off as guys age. He is an accomplished hitter and great defensively too, but your range decreases and you just see that value swing in the opposite direction. And that's kind of what we talked about a little bit with Freddie moving on, and why while Freddie had a better year than Matt Olson this year, throughout the next, 5 years, you're going to see that contract swing back in our favor, I think, as Matt comes into his prime and Freddie is on the downhill. But that's just my perspective of good and bad for us. It sucks in the short term, but long term, these teams are going to end up in the same place they usually are.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I was just going to say, which one of you was it? I can't remember that posted that stat about how much the Phillies are going to be paying Trey Turner this upcoming season, and how much the Braves are going to be paying.
I posted
think it might have been you, Blake. I thought that was a really good.
So the New York Mets are paying Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander a combined $86 million in 2023, whereas the Braves will pay Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Travis Darnold, Michael Harris, and Spencer Strider a combined $74 million.
Yeah,
Travis Darnold.
Darnold, sorry,
he's
1,
French.
2, 3,
Come
4,
on, man.
5, 6, 7.
Darnold.
Yeah, that's wild, and that's like
nuts.
That's Alex Anthopoulos just dominating
He just keeps
every other
winning.
GM in baseball, and so that's why there's no reason to fret, and we'll get. I think we're actually going to talk a little bit of Braves today.
I think we should.
We'll get more into it.
Well, I guess we got to pick a winner.
All right.
Yeah, so
Did
we say we can't vote for ourselves?
Yeah.
Was that a rule? All right.
We kind of just do whatever we want. I'll say the wiener is Blake.
Wow.
I was going to go Hayden. So Aaron, you got the deciding vote.
Wow. Okay.
Here's why. I'm more excited for the Ohio State or the Michigan Georgia rematch in the championship game, and I think that's the big TV ticket.
Do not dare look past Ohio State.
We're going to vote.
I'm going to vote Hayden's just for that.
All right, 3-way tie.
I like
I'm
it.
just kidding. Hayden wins.
I like it. I'm happy about it. So I don't have a drop for the Braves yet because I didn't think we'd be doing a segment. So let me tee this up real.
Uh-oh.
Atlanta Braves.
I mean, that works. Yeah, that works.
For on the spot, I loved it.
Did it do anything?
It did the
Yeah, it
thing.
did.
Okay.
We heard it.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
I wanted to comment though on this being a Blursed. I think the blessing side of this is a two-way. Is like one, I don't see Verlander as an upgrade over DeGrom. Do y'all?
No.
Well,
Like he's 39.
He did just win AL Cy Young, so that's pretty significant.
He did.
He is old.
That's the old.
He's had
thing, yeah.
major injuries.
And we've also been pretty good against him historically, I feel like, but maybe I'm wrong there. But the reason I didn't see this as a major problem is because it kind of makes the Braves, because both of these signings happen in NL East, it might force our ownership to make a play on a big player that we might not have gone for otherwise.
It's so interesting because we play all our cards really close to the chest, so you don't hear much. There was rumblings of a trade that might happen with Oakland for Sean Murphy, who is the A's catcher, which wouldn't really make a ton of sense.
That doesn't.
It wouldn't make a ton of sense because we have 3 catchers that are Major League Baseball capable.
Yes.
So, and then like 30 minutes later, Alex Anthopoulos was like, "No, that's not. I'm just going to shut that down right now. That's not true." So, if you see something that like isn't official or put out by the Braves, it might not be true at all.
Right.
Yeah. Or on Twitter at all.
Yeah.
It just might not be true.
And while I do agree with you, and there's been a lot of rumors and maybe even some statements that said that we're going to go over the payroll tax threshold this year. We want to be one of the top 5 spending teams in baseball because that's what we have to do to catch up. Right. And we're in a position where we can splurge a little bit, maybe on one player, maybe on 2. I mean, heck, we gave Charlie Morton a $20 million deal to come back for one more year. So
it's true.
That's pretty significant because Clayton Kershaw just signed a $20 million deal to come back for the Dodgers as well. So there's a lot of movement. It's nice. The winter meetings are going on in San Diego this week. So if there's any trades, could happen this week. Everybody's together. Apparently, Aaron Judge, his representation is out in San Diego as well. I'm sure getting courted by every which direction. There is a rumor that there's like a ghost team out there that has offered him a 9-year deal. Which I've been saying for the last 6 months that it makes so much sense to bring him in, just because we have not been able to fill that hole in the outfield.
God, it'd be awesome.
We have other issues.
If I get that notification here in the next couple of days, that'll be.
Do we do emergency pod if that happens?
Yes, emergency pod. I'll leave work. We'll just.
It'll be all of us just like trying to catch our breath, I think, just trying to put some words together, not just mush. But I don't even know when's like the last signing we've made. Like we're just not a free agency team like that.
I don't think we've ever done.
It would be like
that
when we signed Justin Upton. Like that was the biggest.
Okay, that's where my head went, but he's nowhere even close.
No, nowhere close. But that's the biggest one we've signed, right?
Yeah,
that's probably.
But the main rumors are that he's either going to go back to New York or he's going to play for the Giants in San Francisco. So
I'd be okay with him
see.
going to the Giants and beating up on the Dodgers. I'd be okay with that. I mean, I'd rather him come here, obviously, but I'd be okay with that. I don't want to see him going to NL East. That's what I don't want.
No, for God's sake, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him for not wanting to play in New York. I would not want to play in New York if I was a player. Not just because of my personal bias against the Mets and every other New York team, but like they booed Aaron Judge in the playoffs for having a little like a hitless streak. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's crazy.
Yeah. I couldn't
He
imagine.
set the home run record this season, and he's getting booed a week later. Ridiculous. Why would they?
I
don't know.
think you put it best, Hayden. That I believe when we were playing the Phillies, you said that Phillies fans are who New York fans think they are. I believe.
Yeah.
And that I think that sums it up pretty well.
We could maybe actually transition this into the Hawks if you're okay with going Hawks early, because this kind of transitions to what the Atlanta Hawks fans are doing to Trae Young right now with all the crap going on.
Let's talk about shortstop real quick.
Before okay, yeah. But it does tie into that.
Because the Phillies signed Trey Turner, that means there's 3 big names left in free agency at least. So that's Dansby. Carlos Correa, and Xander Bogaerts, the Red Sox shortstop. So there's rumors that the Braves offered, I think Dansby wanted $140 million over 6 years, which is pretty reasonable. It's probably the years that made us gaff a little bit there. I would have been okay with that deal. He is the least talented of the 3.
23 million? That's not.
And he's a hell of a player, but of the 3, the more consistent bats are Correa and Bogaerts. Mm-hmm. Correa is going to cost probably about the same as what Turner did.
He's been injury prone though, right?
Million. Yeah, I mean,
is that fair to say?
Yeah, but I mean, you could say the same about Dansby until like this year, or I'm sure Xander Bogaerts has injury history as well. But you just hope for the best in that regard, and hope you don't find somebody that's completely fragile. So Correa is going to probably be about the same as Trey Turner. I think Bogaerts is kind of like the best value, and that's why I would lean that direction and think that we might end up there. The other detriment here is that one of these guys is going to end up on the Dodgers because Trey Turner signed somewhere else. They have the hole now, and they have the money. They always do.
Dansby makes sense, right? To the Dodgers, he just kind of would like.
I mean,
he's being from there. Oh wait, he's not from there. He's from Georgia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's
Freddie's
obsessed. He's obsessed with Freddie, so that's one thing. But there's also rumors about Dansby to the Cubs. Apparently, the Cardinals are now looking for a shortstop as well. So the market is heating up, and there's limited options. So we'll see where it lands. We hope to not go into the season with like Vaughn Grissom or Arcia at shortstop. If the other free agents just find other homes, then we may be making another trade, kind of like Matt Olson last year. We'll have to part with some probably major league players because we don't have much in the farm system anymore because they're all playing for the big league squad.
Yeah.
So luckily, there's a lot of tape on Vaughn now mashing in the majors, and same thing with Wild Bill. As much as we wouldn't like to part with those guys, we're in the championship window right now through the end of 2030 probably, or whenever everybody's contracts run out that we have on long-term deals.
Hopefully. We re-sign Travis?
I think he might be in the last year's deal, or else he might have one.
So we could trade him too, right? Instead of Wild Bill, or you think probably not?
I don't think we would trade Trav. I think he's such a favorite on, like, for the pitching staff. He calls a good game. He's a veteran, and he just is a consistent hitter at this point in his career.
That's fair.
You worry about wear and tear a little bit, but there's also like the option we can go into spring training and the regular season with 3 catchers on the major league roster, and then hopefully William Contreras would be DHing every day. So there's still the burden of Marcell Ozuna's contract, and
some people are projecting him for comeback player of the year next year. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I don't see it. I don't know. I don't know where you're getting that from.
It might be coming back to Fulton County Jail.
Wow.
Okay. Good Lord. All right, you said you wanted to talk some Hawks. Anything else you guys wanted to add?
I think you ended on a good note right there.
Hayden just drops that bomb and he's like, all right, Hawks.
Yeah, Hawks. No, this is a perfect transition though, because like speaking of fans just disregarding or disrespecting players who just did so much for your team, like despite the team, like because if you look at the Yankees, like that squad probably wasn't going to win a World Series. Like the reason you did as well as you did is because Judge was having an MVP season and he played exceptionally, and like that's kind of how I feel about Trae Young. So right now Trae Young's kind of in this limelight because he he missed the game on Friday. I believe it was when the game was. But over the weekend he missed the game, and it came out. At first, everyone was like, "Where's Trey? Where's Trey? Where's Trey?" Because John Collins is hurt, DeAndre Hunter's hurt. They're both on the sideline sitting there. Trey missed the game. Coach says it was miscommunication that caused him to miss the game. Shams comes out and reports that the coach gave Trey an ultimatum. So Trey, at shoot around on Friday, said, "Hey, I need to rest my arm. I want to do whatever treatment it is to get his shoulder feeling well." And apparently Coach McMillan told him, "Well, if you're not practicing, you can come off the bench tonight, or you can just not come to the game at all." So Trey just didn't come to the game at all. And then, and then today, which one, I get it. Like, you need to keep all your players the same approach, but maybe don't say that to your star player. Maybe don't alienate your star player who...
I don't think I agree on the same approach item either. I mean...
Wait, what?
I don't really agree that, like, you need to coach to each individual player. Like, maybe not special circumstances, but if you want to keep your fucking job, Nate, then probably don't alienate your superstar.
Especially in basketball.
Yes.
The sport where one player makes the most difference.
And speaking of which, I think a lot of Hawks fans forget this. But the last 2 years, we're a lottery team. If Trae Young doesn't play, not only do we not make the playoffs, we're the lottery. We're hoping for the top picks. That's how much Trae means to us. There's actually, Bally Sports just released right now a opening statement from Nate McMillan's press conference tonight before the game. So I'm curious what's in that. I'll dive into it later while y'all are talking, and maybe I can catch us up on it.
A little breaking news.
A little breaking news stuff. But what bothers me so much about it is Trey said, he goes, "I would like to keep it private," which to me shows leadership, because this is between him and the coach. He's not trying to air out his grievances on the national media. He's not trying to air it out in front of the team. Well, a lot of the media were like, "Well, don't you owe it to the team to know why? Don't they owe, or you owe it to them to be at the game, or for them to know why you weren't there?" And I'm like thinking, I'm sure they already know why Trey wasn't there.
Yeah. Yes. It's not a mystery to them.
They knew immediately.
Just because we don't know doesn't mean that players don't know. They're communicating. They're team.
Like, what a dumb question, because it's not like players communicate with one another through the media. Yeah. Like they
hey, could you tell John Collins?
They have each other's phone numbers. They see each other
there's like 15 people in the locker room, right?
Yeah, it's also a very small team.
You know their injury status. You know what's going on with them and coach. Like, you're seeing everything that happens. And so I think it's, what's his name, Klein or something like that. He's a double channel 2 guy who asked the question. I don't know, not annoyed the shit out of me, because he asked him 3 times, and Trey's like, "You're coming at me right now." And the guy's like, "Well, you owe us the answer to this question." And my thing is this: in your jobs, if y'all were to mess up and something happened between you and the boss, do you owe to tell anyone else what happened between you and your boss? Like, do you owe that? I know they're sports, and I know media is part of it, but Trey doesn't owe it to anyone to say what happened. And someone was arguing 19 on the game that, well, it wasn't family related, so he does owe it to us. I'm like, no. Like, I think personally, as a fan, I would rather not see my best player come out and talk shit about my coach about what's going on. Yeah. I'd rather him say, "You know what? Something happened between us. We're gonna keep it private." And I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like, personally, I'm okay with that. How do y'all feel?
I think that's the best thing is for Trey to say, like, it should have been held in house, and that's the main problem, is that there's a leak in the locker room somewhere.
Right.
But real quick, I wanted to read what Mike Bell said, or he tweeted at Trey earlier today. He said, "Let's be honest, Trey doesn't want to lead, and I'm not sure he knows how to lead." Which I was like, this is ridiculous, because if anybody's getting in an argument or disagreement with the coach, is probably the leader. And then you're going to see the other players follow that person. And that's probably, I don't know, that's one of the roles, is like keep everybody in check, but that he's the team leader. So that's his responsibility. And that goes for the coach as well.
Nate's not getting in arguments with AJ Griffin. Okay.
No,
he's not getting in arguments with, Jalen Johnson. I think you said it perfectly there, Hayden. That's a sign, another sign of, like, who clearly is the leader in the locker room is probably the one that a coach that's basically alienating himself from that locker room. That's probably the one they're going to communicate with, is the leader of that locker room.
I think there's so much old head energy, though, where they're all caught up in this thing, like, where it's like, you got to be straight. And I just think that it's just toxic. And I think the fans are being toxic. Some of the fans are saying, like, well, Trey screwed up too. And it's like, well, obviously he screwed up. Like, he probably should have gone in the game. Like, I'm not going to say he shouldn't or should have. I don't know what happened behind closed doors. None of us do. But what I will say is that I don't think it's for us to determine, like, who's in the wrong, because we don't know. We just don't know. I don't know. It bothered me. The whole thing kind of bothered me. And what sucks about it is we actually had 2 great wins even with John Collins and DeAndre Hunter hurt this last week. So
yeah, especially over the Nuggets.
Before we move on, though, I do want to say this. Trey is 24 years old. He just got married this last year. He just had his first kid. Like, he's trying to figure out a lot of shit in his life, and he's still young and makes mistakes. And, like, I just think there's a pedestal everyone puts these players on, and I get it. Like, they're bringing a lot of money and stuff like that. But sometimes it's like, why don't you just think before you start pestering people to death and all this stuff? Like, I don't know. I would love to ask the media the same questions. Like, I just I read your article the other week and it was shit. So, what do you want to explain why it was so shitty?
Owe me
like,
why? Yeah,
you
owe me an explanation why your article.
Like, I don't like reading any of your articles, but you still make a lot of money doing this. So I don't know. I hate that kind of crap.
No,
but let's look into the actual gameplay. So the Hawks.
Oh, I do. One thing I do want to have a bit of a caveat, and that's that Zach Klein and Mike Bell, the two personalities that we just talked about. Generally, I think we would all agree they're normally good.
Oh,
we normally agree with what they say. Mike Bell's my favorite personality on 99 The Game. Zach Klein's obviously the sports guy for WSB. And I think normally they both do a really good job.
I agree. I
agree with you here,
but I would like to call them out here where I don't agree with them. Yeah.
No, that's
fuck those guys.
In this scenario, fuck those guys. Yes. But yeah, well, real quick. So the Hawks this last week, since last time we've talked, they were reeling, had a bunch of bad losses in a row. Barely lost the 76ers on Monday, but then they go into the Magic and the Nuggets, and they win both those games. Magic, you got to beat by a lot. They did. The Nuggets, playing down Trae Young, John Collins, and DeAndre Hunter, go up and upset the Nuggets, and that was led by DeJounte Murray and the young guys. And it's huge. It is huge, and it's cool to watch because, like, if you compare this year's team to last year's team, the talent difference is so different. Like, the fact that we could compete and win that game, missing 3 of your best players. And I just want to look at the schedule as a whole. We've had some bad losses on the year, but even most of our losses have been a couple possessions. And because
sorry. Okay, God.
Funny part
let me look up.
It's like looking at y'all.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
But what I was gonna say was, like, last year our losses seemed to be awful. Like, we'd get behind in the second half, and then it would just kind of all spiral out of control. This year we've had a lot of tough losses, like close losses. So we're there. Like, I really do think the problem that bothers me the most about all this too is, like, I have a bigger problem with Coach Nate McMillan than I do Trey. Like, I think he's a bigger hindrance to the team's success than Trey is. So it just hurts to see all this. I don't know. What do y'all think? Bogdanovich is back. Does anyone have any comments on the Hawks right now?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of relying a lot on you here, Blake, because with everything going on the way it has been in sports, the Hawks have fallen way down my radar over the World Cup and everything. I've actually paid attention to the
regular season.
Yeah. But I did actually watch the Nuggets game. It was watch and listen to. I thought that was great. It actually reminded me a lot of how the Grizzlies did without Ja last year and how impressive that was. Yeah. I don't know if y'all remember, but they won something like 22 games without Ja.
Yeah, and still people wanted him to be the MVP last year. I'm like, guys, your team can't win. When you miss 26 games and they win 22 of them, like, you don't deserve
it. A quarter of the season.
I think they went something crazy, like 22 and 6 without him or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
I think it was 22 of 26.
That's crazy. Like, only 4 losses without him. I don't know. That's another reason why I think Trey's better than him, but some people would argue otherwise.
But yeah, no, I totally agree with you though, Blake. I think
and I'll just say overall, like, the East has been more up for grabs than people have thought. The Heat have not been good. The Nets are starting to come back. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, but the Celtics are just running away with the East. And turns out the coaching wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it might be, and the players actually just know how to play together now. So they figured it out.
It is basketball.
It is basketball. But that's really all I have for the Hawks right now. DeJounte Murray, I do want to say this. He's incredible. I'm so glad we got him. Yes. I really am. I'm actually at the point now, especially after I know it's just one game without John Collins, but I don't think we need him for success like this year. Yeah. I don't. Like, I'd rather get whatever the team needs, whatever that fit is, move him on, be able to have enough money to re-sign DeJounte and extend him because I really enjoy him. I hope Trey enjoys it as much.
Like, because this is becoming a Lord Pierce-esque situation as it, like, with Nate McMillan, you know, kind of a similar thing happening. Except when the Lloyd Pierce thing happened, we were like 10 games under 500.
Right.
And had to dig ourselves out of a huge hole to make the run that we did that year. At least now we have a winning record, and this is going on.
Yeah.
And I think DJM is the reason why, is my point.
Like, other thing, too, is we've talked a lot about expectations on this podcast, especially talking about the Falcons and other things. But coming into the season, if you're an NBA fan or you keep up with NBA, like, the Hawks' expectations from the national media was for us to get the 8th seed. We're at the 4th seed right now. I'm saying we talked about it. We put the expectations of being a 5 seed or higher. Like, we said we should be in the top 5. But But like if you're all the people complaining and I hear in 99 in the game, like, oh, these Hawks, I was like, we're in fourth place. Do y'all not realize that we're playing well and we're in fourth? Like,
Right. No, it's kind of I think we hit the nail on the head expectation wise because of what you just said. I mean, the fact that that we're still in fourth, you wouldn't know it if you didn't.
you wouldn't
Look
know
at
it.
the standings and you only listen to what Sports Talk Radio and Twitter and stuff has said about the team. You would think we're out of the playoff picture, but no,
Yeah.
we're actually in a home court seed.
Yeah, as of right now,
playoffs
for
right
sure.
now.
Isn't it weird that hitting the nail on the head is a good thing, but screwing in something is a bad thing? It's
That
the
is
same.
kind of weird. You know,
Both
you're right.
binding in terms of what the action occurring is. Anyways,
It's a great point.
yeah, it's like we know Atlanta sports a little bit better than the national media does because
Yeah.
a lot of the time people do not pay attention to Atlanta
No.
teams, which is part of the reason we have a podcast about it. So if you've made it this far, just listen to this clip.
And
Keep listening because we know what's going on. Sometimes we know what's going on ahead of time just
Yeah,
because we
sometimes we
pay
do.
attention. We follow the right people.
That we do.
We do follow the right people. We got little birds everywhere. Call us Varus.
Little birds. God.
It's called Twitter, guys. That's the birds.
Yeah.
But God, Twitter's got everything you need. That's all I have about the Hawks right now. I like to talk more about it once more of the Stray Young stuff comes out because that's like the more interesting aspect of it. But overall, just it's weird stuff going on in Hawkland. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I don't know if I'm hoping it plays out with Trey and Nate making up and we go on to win a championship. But we'll see what happens.
Indeed, we will.
All right, you guys want the good news or the bad news first?
What's the bad news?
Both.
Oh, Aaron said bad news. Okay.
Yeah, let's go bad news first.
Falcons.
All right. We'll
Hell
talk
yeah.
about the Falcons first then.
Yes.
Wait, this might be good news though. We might be finally ripping that Band-Aid off.
The Ritter
I
Band-Aid?
think I meant bad news in that we all had to watch the Falcons once again.
That's fair.
Sadly.
With Marcus Mariota at the helm. But it might be the last time. Blake,
Dude,
on to you.
what was that?
I was just passing it to you.
Take it away,
Oh.
buddy.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
have to talk
take it
about too
away,
much in
Aaron.
the game. First half, Falcons looked awful. I mean, it looked like the Steelers wanted to take away the run, and they did that. They did and they. The problem is too, and I think Art had to realize it by now, is that when they take away the run, there's not much you can do because we can't really do anything else besides run
Hard
the ball.
to do it.
We're really good at running the ball, though. We are really good at that, and we came back in the second half and ran the ball well. I'll say this about our defense: they were on the field majority of the first half, and they only gave up like, was it 16 points or 13 points?
Or,
It was-
in the first half, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
It was really good. Falcons score. It was really good to watch them bend but not break the whole first half. Yeah, they scored 16 in the first half, and they only gave up 3 points for the rest of the game, which is the sad part, is that we couldn't win that game if we only gave up 3 points in the second half. I felt like the defense deserved a win there. What you say, Aaron?
Well, I was just going to say, watching I didn't watch it live as it occurred, and watching the highlights back, you would think the defense played really poorly because we did give up a lot of those
a lot of plays.
gashing plays. But with
Aaron.
that said, in the NFL, if you hold someone under 20 points, I mean, that is, you should win.
Yes.
You 100% should win.
You should. And I posed a question actually during the game or before the game. I said, is Dean Pease washed? Like, is his defensive system washed, or does the Falcons just need major help on that side of the ball? What do y'all feel about that?
I don't think he's washed. Coaches don't forget how to coach. They might forget how to connect with players or run out of ideas to do that. But I don't think that's the case either. Based off what I just said, I mean, he's running a defense with minimal talent that's holding teams like. Granted, I know the Steelers aren't the offensive juggernaut that you might expect, but they
They got some good players though.
Yeah, they do have some talent on the edges and things, and they got Najee Harris, obviously.
Look at how many points we've given up the last 5 games. We gave up 20 points to the Chargers, who are a very good offense.
Yeah.
25 to the Panthers, which isn't great, but that's still a winnable game.
Mhm.
24 to the Bears, 19 to the Commanders, and 19 to the Steelers.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's excellent. That's
Yeah, it is.
excellent work with the talent he has.
And to
Yeah.
your point, so with the even giving up 25 to that Panthers team, you like a good team, if you will, a playoff team, you can allow your defense to have games where they give up some things that maybe they shouldn't to an opponent they shouldn't, but still only holding an NFL team to 25, especially if it's a bad team like the Panthers, your offense should be scoring more than 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No, 100%. No, I 100% agree. I think, and two, if you look back at the Steelers' last couple of games, they scored 24 on the Colts. They put 30 up against the Bengals, 20 against the Saints. They got waxed against the Eagles 4 weeks ago, but that was earlier when Kenny Pickett just started playing, or more soon. I will say this: I agree 100%. I don't think it's Dean Pease. I just think that we're just so talent lacking on that side of the ball that it's a miracle what he is doing some games. Like if you think about it, AJ Terrell and Grady Jarrett are two players that would probably start on any other team.
Yeah.
But besides them two, every other player is replaceable almost. I think we have some young guys who are getting there. I do think that. I actually firmly believe that, but they're not there yet.
We can't give coaching all the credit because some of these guys are playing above what was projected of them.
Yes, they
so
are.
That's true.
That has to be respected as well. And like
that's part of it.
Young guys like
though,
Mykal
right?
Walker, you talked about Lorenzo
I
Carter's
think traditionally when that happens, though, coaching
good
is
coaching.
a lot of times the reason.
Well, it gets
finding
credit
ways
to
to
a lot of
unlock
times.
those things.
That's fair.
Yes, I agree 100%.
They have to meet in the middle. They have to
They do.
kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we could just get some more pressure on the quarterback, we'd probably win some more games just because. but
I'm
we
sorry,
can't.
Blake. No, it's just funny because man, what a sentence that was.
Well, because but I'm saying there's a couple things. If our team could throw the ball or get pressure on the quarterback, we'd probably have 3 or 4 more wins right now.
I know, but the reason I laughed is because every single football team in the world would say that about themselves.
But when you're in
also.
last place and pressure, it's a little different. But I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It's like when you're limited on a very specific aspect of the game, you're gonna be bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's like 5 main things, and then it's like, you're bad at 2 or 3 of those.
2 or 3 of those, you're not really good.
So I was gonna ask y'all this too. So there's an argument about the Steelers. So it's a home game, but Steelers, one, their fans are crazy and fanatical, and they'll travel anywhere. And two, there were more Steelers fans at the game Sunday in Atlanta than there were Atlanta fans, and I see a ton of fans just pissed off on Twitter. Well, one, they're probably not at the game, so they're pissed off there's no fans there, but they're not at the game
You're
as
not
well.
at the game.
So my question was this: should fans still go to the game if they do not support the direction of the team?
Absolutely fucking not. That's so much money.
Thank you.
Why? It's not my duty to help you guys out.
Yeah.
You're doing it for me. I mean, we as fans are the reason you get paid so much money.
Yeah.
And all of you, I'm in no way saying that this is only to the players. It's actually mainly not that much to the players. It's about to front offices. You guys make so much money because we support your team. We don't have to fucking be there if what we're watching is like, unless, the Halo ring in that stadium. The only way we should be not required, but they should think more about us coming to the game is if they played Red Zone the whole time.
Ooh.
Oh,
if they
that'd be
played
cool.
NFL Red Zone the whole time and the Halo ring up there, I might think about going to some Falcons games. The amenities are nice. The product on the field is not, but I could watch Red Zone. So
It's like, we better break out the red helmets. That'll get people to come watch the game in person. But really,
when we were in the 90s and also not that good.
Yeah, right. Also really bad.
Yeah. I mean, like,
woo. I mean,
So-
it's economics, guys. I mean, it's supply and demand in the product. Nobody enjoys it or wants to watch it. So that's what it is. If
Exactly.
the product's better, people will show up. That's how it works. So the price needs to come down and more people will go to the game.
Exactly.
That's bottom line. Is what
I
it
know I
is.
should stop tweeting, getting in arguments on Twitter, but this guy goes, well, that's not how it works. He's like, there are fans. He goes, look at Cleveland Browns. Their fans are fanatic every game. They still go to that. I was like, yeah, but also it's way cheaper to go to Cleveland Browns game than it is to Atlanta Falcons game. Because people's argument was like, well, before the bins, the dome was always filled with fans. And it's like, yeah, but they changed the whole price method.
They did.
They did the
came up
PSLs too.
Yeah, PSLs were a terrible
Yeah,
idea. But not only that, even to rebut that guy's exact point, it could be that look what that got the Cleveland Browns.
Shitty teams forever.
They went to the game
Forever.
and supported a shitty team, and so they were like, "Oh, they'll just support shitty products."
They will
that is
always be
excellent.
bad.
I mean, that's what it got them. So
I just don't get that. And it's like, as a fan, that's your only way. That's your only way to show ownership that you don't support teams by not going to a game because they don't. You know what I mean? Like that's the most direct effect for them.
And partly because of the fact that like most of their money is not made off ticket sales, it's made off TV deals. But you know what looks really bad on TV?
When your
A
fans aren't
half-empty
in the stadium. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe lower the prices. I mean, and it's more than just like the price of admission too, which is extremely expensive. It's getting to downtown Atlanta, which is not an easy thing to do. A lot of people don't like driving. Parking is a nightmare. I mean, I guess you can take MARTA, but a lot of people don't like MARTA either. So like,
that's the thing.
there's a
Like,
lot that goes into
yeah.
getting to a game if you don't fucking live
Exactly.
a minute from the stadium, which
Right.
not many people do.
And if you're trying to take your kids to the game and everything, like you're talking about probably $500 a day to go
Right.
see a shitty product. Like
It's like
just,
getting to the game if you live ITP, as it were, isn't that big of a deal.
take a
But
MARTA is
to
what I
all
would
the
do.
people that live across the state of Georgia, you know, like from where we're from or even further, that's exactly what Hayden just said. They don't want to drive all the hours to Atlanta.
And that's where the majority of your fans are at, because Atlanta's a transplant city. There's a lot of people that aren't fans of Atlanta here in Atlanta.
Well, I mean, to speak to a different issue of housing and gentrification a little bit, a lot of people that live right there next to the stadium, they can't fucking afford the price of admission.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's gonna happen, and it's not. I don't think it's the worst in the world to signal to upper management that we're not satisfied with what we're seeing this season.
Agreed. And I think what's cool was early in the season when we looked pretty good, we had fans at the games. Like Atlanta had a lot of fans. No one was talking about it. But when you're playing a crappy team and you haven't switched quarterbacks yet, and that's where a lot of people are caught up on, whether Ritter is the next great quarterback or he sucks, we just want change because we want to see just something that's refreshing and new and something that might lead to optimistic and like hope in the future, or may lead us to like, well, at least we know we're not going with him next year. So like the fact they haven't done that is what bothered me. And that's kind of what I'm going to get into about Art. So I know y'all knock on Art a lot. I like Art more than most, but I will say this.
Sure.
I don't want to say he was like, I don't think it was his pride that let Mariota stay in. Like, I don't think he was like, this is my guy, he has to play. I think it's more of the fact that you heard our team say it after the game. So a lot of our players are like, I support Mariota, like he's my quarterback, which they don't have to say that. But they did. My point is this: I think people genuinely like Marcus Mariota, and I think Art really wanted to work for Mariota. And the fact that we were still in the hunt this whole time, he let him go a little bit further than he should have. And I will fault Art for that. I think it was a bad move. I think he should have switched coaches or should have switched quarterbacks already.
Yeah.
But I think that's why. And that's human. Like that's your human nature at the end of the day. If you like someone, you're rooting for them, you want them to do well. It sucks that it didn't work out for Mariota. And I was hoping he would. Like I was hoping he could get us to the playoffs or get us somewhere. It didn't work out. And
I think Art played the whole season on Madden before time. And
Yeah.
Mariota's really good in Madden.
Oh,
He can get outside the pocket. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, but my point to that is just like, I think we're going to see the Band-Aid come off, and I think Ritter's going to be your quarterback next game, and it's going to be at the Dome playing against the Saints, which I think will be a fun atmosphere for him to come in his first game. And I think it's time. Like, it's past time. He should have made the switch against Panthers on that mini bye we kind of had earlier, where it was like the Sunday night into a Thursday night, where we said he should switch. But I think it's good that's happening now, and I'm excited. I don't even care if we win another game this season. I'm just excited to see the change.
I think that's such a low threshold, though, because we've seen he can throw the ball at least. We know he can. Even if it's like a 1 or 2 read system, then he takes off. It's going to be better than what we've seen. He's overthrowing our massive receiving core.
The offense does change a little bit, though, because I will say this. Mariota is a more confident runner than Ritter is in the NFL. Like, and that's helped us a lot this year because of his lack of being able to throw the ball. Exactly.
Or it hindered us.
It could hinder, right. What I'm trying to say is it looks like it's helped us a lot, but it could also be that if he could have made those throws, he wouldn't have had to run those balls. So, I mean, it's give some, take some. I do still think Mariota is an upgrade over Matt Ryan, and I will stop it. Stop
this
year. Yeah,
I saw some of that going around on Twitter. I did not expect it on this podcast because
I will
ridiculous.
Say it. I will say this.
I get what you meant there, but that's not what you said. Basically,
I believe we were more successful in Mariota as our quarterback this year than we would have been with Matt Ryan. Is what I'm trying to say. I do think Matt Ryan's a better quarterback overall.
Okay.
I will emphatically disagree. It's the same or better with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and again, as
you went out for me, but
as we pointed out, he has a run this year far longer than anything Marcus Mariota has.
That's true. But what I'm going to say is, going to hurt me, but it's going to hurt y'all too, and this is why I'm right. Us running the ball has kept us in so many games and helped us win so many games. We're able to milk the clock that we would not have won if Matt Ryan was our quarterback.
That's a blur statement in itself, right there.
It is.
It is blurs, but that's the truth.
But I disagree because it's like, first of all, Art forced himself into this, okay, and then
Art's not the general manager or the owner.
No, I know that, but he is the reason we signed Mariota, though.
It's not his 100%. Fault that Matt Ryan went, though.
He's the one that wanted Mariota.
All right, who'd y'all want then? Who'd you want over over Mariota.
I think I
that we
listed
coulda
off
got.
a ton of
Colin
backups.
Yeah, but
Kaepernick.
all the players you listed off are someone we'd have to trade for. We would
Colin
have had to move
Kaepernick
stuff.
does Mariota things just better.
I'm not going to
Oof.
disagree with that. I think Kaepernick should have been in the league for a while now, but he's been
Yes.
blackballed. I think
Yes.
I think Roger Goodell has told people not to hire him. Like there's
Yes.
a reason he's not playing.
I agree.
But besides Kaepernick, who
I don't
would
know.
y'all have rather had?
PJ Walker, the ghost of Alex Smith.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure who. I mean,
We didn't have any other options. What I'm trying to say, like he was our best option. We could have traded for Baker Mayfield. Ew. We could have traded.
No, we don't want Baker.
We would have had to trade, and we didn't want
Look
to give
at-
up any more.
I mean, you can use Seattle as the perfect example. Look at what they're doing, how effective their run game is with Geno Smith and how that's opened him up.
But Geno Smith's been excellent.
That's what I'm.
Right, and he
It's
hasn't
because
been
of the
before.
system.
Yeah,
It's the same reason
excellent
Russell
in this.
Wilson succeeded in that system probably the last few years. So that's
You're telling
I'm
me
not
any quarterback could fit in that system and do what Geno's doing
Not
this year?
that system per se. I think what he's saying is you're clearly seeing that the system, whatever it is, team to team, can upgrade that player. Like if you're
Yes.
executing
Right. I think
your
we're
system
seeing
and-
Marcus upgraded is the saddest part about this.
Oh no,
Jesus Christ. I hope not, man. He's
That's
not
not-
long
This is the
for
best
this
he's-
league.
I mean, I guess he threw a little bit better in Tennessee, but he's
well, he
older
did
now.
lead them to the playoffs one year.
He did. They were a much better team though, talent.
Oh yeah, they were better, way better.
Yeah.
That team was much more talented than this team.
Yeah, and that's what I'll say too about the Seahawks. It's a more talented team than us. They're just
Nobody thought that coming into the season.
Right. Everyone thought Seattle was. Gonna be
everyone
really
thought
bad.
because of Geno Smith. Everyone thought that.
Yes,
That's the truth. And Geno Smith outperformed what everyone thought so. But like if you look at the rest of the team,
Sure.
like their defense ranks top 10 in the country right now.
it does.
I think
Because Pete
that's-
Carroll's a defensive
it's
side
an
coach.
example of why I think you're like, I guess you're emphasizing how Mariota's opened up our run game when I just don't. That's not the main purpose of a quarterback. And if he's not elite like Justin Fields right now at running the ball, it's not going to make a difference.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying he was the best for what we had. Like
I'm also not so much a fan of coaches being like getting rid of players because they don't fit in their system, even if that player is clear cut better than the replacement. And so for the Matt Ryan thing, Matt Ryan's definitely better than Marcus Mariota.
that's not Art's fault.
But
That's not Art's fault.
okay,
Let
it's
him
not
finish the
necessarily his-
thought here.
Yeah, so just the fact that we as a team, not just Art, sure,
Yes.
but we as a team thought, let's do something that'll definitely get rid of Matt Ryan. The only person I would hope at that facility that thought we could have gotten Deshaun Watson was Arthur Blank.
Blank. Yes.
Excuse me, not
I
Arthur
hope
Smith,
that is
Arthur
the
Blank.
case too.
I hope he's the only one that thought that. And if that's the case, that does absolve some guilt to the other folks. But still, it's clear that Art is bringing in folks in other positions that fit the style of football he likes to play. When maybe
Every coach does that.
But okay, no, not every coach. A lot of
No,
coaches go into
God,
places
no.
and adapt themselves to what they have. If you're a system coach, if you're a coach that only can run one thing or run one variation of playing
Aaron,
football,
we had no money to spend in free agent. We got the best players we could have got. I feel like the stuff you're hitting on is just not fair to the Falcons as a team, as an organization, because of the way they're strapped for cash and because of the mistakes that the past Thomas
Okay,
Dimitrov.
well, they
did.
they got one more year of they got
Yes,
a-
it's next
a
year's the make
year
or break, and if they don't do anything,
coming up of good cap.
yes,
Well, I'll say, I mean, next year is
it's make or break.
Ritter's a rookie. If we don't get, or if we draft a quarterback, it's our quarterback's
but
a rookie.
that's the thing,
and it's
I
a
don't-
complete pass for Art.
But Blank's not going to take that though. He won't. I don't think he will. I think if he goes three losing seasons in a row, no.
Dan Quinn
but
hung around and hung around.
But Dan Quinn went to the Super Bowl in his second season.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mike Smith took us to the playoffs a couple years in a row. If Art doesn't take us to the playoffs in year 3, he's fired.
So, but I'm glad you brought up the Mike Smith thing. It's not him that makes me think that Arthur Blank will let Arthur Smith go for longer than he should. It's the Dan Quinn one because Mike Smith actually deserved the leash that he got.
I agree with that.
He was the most successful coach in team history, most successful period in team history was under him. And he deserved the long leash, but then he finally got fired as he should have. But then Dan Quinn got that same long leash, which
I think it
didn't make
has to be
sense.
because of the Super Bowl, though.
I will say, Dan Quinn, for the second year in a row now, is going to be one of the most touted head coaches this offseason, I think. He's led a superb defense under Mike McCarthy, who's an awful coach.
Yes, Hayden has a special relationship with Mike McCarthy.
He is really bad. Aaron Rodgers made that man's career.
He
Did
did.
it also not show you too though, like how important just like one player is, like Micah Parsons, like that one player, how much he does for a team. Like even TJ Watt for the Steelers. Like you see that they showed the side by side stats of when TJ Watt plays and when he doesn't play, and how much more yards their defense gives up. Like we're just missing that difference.
Yeah, we certainly don't have a player of anywhere close to that caliber. Yeah, those calibers.
No, and I'm going to tell you, whoever Dan Quinn goes next, I mean, hopefully they have a good GM, because he picked players when Dimitrov were here, and it didn't work. All those players he picked bust.
Yeah, one of the worst.
And then Devondre Campbell goes on to Green Bay after he leaves here, and he goes on and makes an All-Star team. And it's like, come on, Pro Bowl. It's like, what the hell are we doing? So my point is, like, I agree with you, and there's things I'm mad at Art for this season, but I just think we cannot say it's like he's a whiff or a miss at coach until next year.
He's a really good offensive coordinator, I think.
Yeah, we made great second half adjustments. We did. We should have
enough to score.
Where are all my Mariota apologists at?
Yeah,
everybody that's been defending him all year.
They're on Twitter.
Fuck off, all of you, because you can't just sit there and watch awful quarterback play for how many games have we played now? 12, 15,
13.
13 games.
Yeah, 13 games.
Jeez. I mean, myself, I couldn't watch it anymore. Literally, I think I watched the halftime this weekend because I just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, you were fuming.
It's awful to watch. It was like college level quarterback play.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating.
Did y'all see Art's face after Marcus Murray threw that last interception?
No.
Oh my god! It was like all live.
I need to go try to find it.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The Mariota thing is just so perplexing to me. Why anyone would be able to defend that? It may be Stockholm syndrome.
Mad. I have not seen Art so mad since his dad took away his private jet.
Yes. So that was probably a rough day.
All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on here? Let's see who we got next week. Doesn't matter.
We're on bye.
We got to buy. All right. We don't have to do the bets then.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. It's nice. I'm actually really happy we don't have to talk about the I told Jess, I was like, next Sunday we can go do something, because I'm excited not to be at home watching this stupid.
No Dawgs next week either. We're football list next week.
Yeah, next week
we're gonna have to create.
There's gonna be a lot of Hawks
some content for
talk about. Maybe the Braves make some big moves between now and then.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of Dogs, though, let's move in. Let's talk about them.
Yes.
Wait, are we gonna? You don't want to do a fantasy power minute?
Oh, wait, forgot.
Oh yeah.
We talked about NFL. We got to talk about some
fantasy power minute.
So this week on Game of Thrones, just playing, not that kind of fantasy. We're talking fantasy football. What's going on? What do you guys want to chit chat about?
So I would like to chit chat about this in your league right now, which if you're doing it now, you're late. But you might still be able to get it. Pick up any running back that are one injury away from being a starting running back. Go pick up Derrick Henry's handcuff. Go pick up, that's the number one thing you can do right now if you're trying to make the playoffs or you're trying to win a championship. Pick up any handicap handcuff that you can. Sorry about that.
Blake said pick up any handicap.
Go ahead, pick up your handicap friends, carry them to where they need to go, and while you're doing that, pick up your handcuff running backs, because that's how you're going to win your league. I don't know. What do y'all have for the listeners this week?
I feel like some of these early season trades that are looking bad for me right now is they're starting to rear their head a little bit. So luckily I've clinched a playoff spot, but you don't really want to be a team. I mean, it kind of like heading into the baseball playoffs, or the Phillies got hot at the right time. You don't want to be a team that stumbles into the playoffs. You want to be the hot team going in. Mm-hmm. Anything can happen, but sometimes those players just start all clicking at one time, and you're just going to be, I don't know, freight trained basically. There's a few teams in our league like that, and I'm just waiting for it basically. I'm number 2 seed, but Not you, Blake. I was talking
Oh,
about
I'm hot, dude. Y'all are gonna be pissed when I win the championship in a couple weeks. Oh, y'all are gonna be upset.
Nobody wants that. No,
I know
not even
one's rooting
any,
for it.
no listener wants that.
Person. Yeah.
Y'all are gonna be real upset. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But
Has anybody else won multiple championships in our league, or is that just
That's just you.
That's just Hayden.
I thought that was just me.
Hayden.
But when I get to wave goodbye to you this year, it's gonna be sweet. But Hayden's right.
Boy,
Hayden's right. Like my best year, the year I did win the championship in our league, I got hot right near the end of I was the 6th seed, I think, or the 5th seed. I wasn't in the top seed. I got hot at the end, made a couple good moves at the deadline, and I think I picked up Juju Smith-Schuster during the playoffs off free agency that year that he broke out, because you dropped him, Hayden. Actually, I'll never forget it.
I do drop a lot of players.
You dropped Juju, and I picked him up, and he popped off for me the next couple of weeks. And I won the championship, and he's part of the reason. But yeah, getting hot at the right time is super important, just like baseball. So if you're trending downwards right now, you better be hoping that you just get, because here's the thing, it's fantasy at the end of the day. Your team can still pop off. Like we saw last week with Hayden. He won because Josh Jacobs scored 60 points. And it can happen. It can happen any week. And if you have a player like that on your team, like you're doing well. Here's what I'll say to you: if you're fighting for playoffs right now, or or if you're in the playoffs about to fight for a championship, if you have one of those boomer bust players and you're like, shoot, I'm gonna need something to beat this team, play him. Just play that boom player, because you got to hope for the boom.
Be aggressive for sure. Aaron, you got anything? You looked at fantasy lately, or you just
No, I the trades I made at the deadline didn't really work out. I'm having an okay week, but I ran to the buzzsaw that is Blake's team currently. And then last week I was the victim of said Josh Jacobing.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, I had a tough road to get back in it. I was one of the ones fighting for that last playoff spot, but man, the dice did not roll in my favor.
I'll just be honest, the last 3 weeks for you with the Kyler Murray injury into you not being able to, and then Frank taking Garoppolo. So that's 2 points you missed out on. You only got one.
Yeah.
Last week you would get 2 if Josh Jacobs doesn't put up 60, or you at least get 1.
No, I would have gotten. I think maybe 1.
Just 1, but still, I think you would have got 1.
And then
this week you get 1.
Yep.
So
hopefully I get 1.
You should get 1.
I'm in 5th in scoring right now. So,
but that's the worst part about it though. And Hayden might get 1 or 0
this week.
Yeah, you might get 0, right?
It's probably going to be 0 unless Hux has some bad players. I had Pittman fell off a cliff last night. So I'm playing Blake this upcoming week, and I was just taking a look ahead. I was like, oh, let's see what's happening. I only have basically 2 receivers on my roster because that's the approach I took this year. They're both on bye. So
yeah, I saw that, and I was like, oh,
it is.
But here's the thing too: is I screwed up, and this will be the last thing we talk about because we're talking about our league a lot, and some people probably don't care. But I screwed up last week. Not intentionally. Like I just missed out the top 6 by 2 points because I started one person or another person, and because of that, I'm not gonna have a chance for the top 2 seed. But if I would have got 1 point last week, I could have maybe beat Hayden for the 2 seed. But I think Dylan's gonna.
I think he's gonna pass me. Yeah, he's red hot right now. And
crazy.
And he's the person I want to avoid. I want to play Gray. I want to avoid Dylan. His team scares me.
You don't want to play Frank either.
I don't want to play Frank either. No, you're right. And he's on. I don't know. The playoffs going to come down the next week. It's going to be there's I think, let's see, 4 teams competing for those last 2 spots, something like that. It's going to be crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah, you're just hoping the teams that are barely scraping their way into the playoffs, you hope they don't make it.
You're hoping they do make it.
No, I'm hoping I'm the teams that are going to squeeze in at the buzzer, I should say.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
That the last ones across the finish line that are sprinting in
red hot.
Right.
Yeah, Frank in our league, and that. So if I get the number 3 seed, then I'll probably match up with Frank. Then I'm going to get put out immediately after having such a great fantasy year. But yeah, that's the way it goes.
It shows you though, fantasy is those things. It's
it's showbiz.
Getting the playoffs is one thing, but winning it all is so hard. And the hard part too is, and I've seen it in our league before. Sometimes the best team, the team that would win it all, doesn't make the playoffs because they list out in that last game, but they put up the top points the next 4 weeks.
The rest of the
That was me my first year in our league. I lost to Chase by 2 points in the last week, and then I went on to do a lot. I saw it 2 years. I think it was 2 years ago. I saw someone else do it recently. It sucks.
That's your own fault if you lose to Chase.
Wow.
Well,
And we
I
can say
would-
that because he doesn't
he
listen.
doesn't listen to us. So we just-
No way.
No way. Oh boy.
All
love you,
right,
Chase.
let's talk some dogs.
How about them dogs?
How about them dogs indeed? What a I don't know about you guys, but Saturday night watching that game, it was I didn't do anything special for it. I sat on the couch by myself watching the game, and man, I don't think I've had as much fun watching a Georgia game in that capacity in a while. It was such a good game. And I mean only
Yeah.
from the standpoint of a Georgia fan. That first half was nuts.
The first half was probably. I can't think of another game where it felt like every bounce has gone our way.
Literally.
Every one.
It
Yes.
felt like watching Alabama play or some team that's beating us, or it felt like watching the Patriots beat us in that Super Bowl where like they could do no wrong in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that could
to
happen
begin
right.
the game. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was us
really did.
actually. Everything going right for us. Yeah.
I mean, we just totally dominated those guys. The only reason they shouldn't have even scored in the first half. The only reason they did is slightly because of that 96-yard field goal return, in my opinion, because they had a long drive that stalled on that sack that caused the field goal that we blocked and took back. But that sadly meant the defense had to go right back out there.
Yeah, we had something like 2 minutes of possession or something like
Yeah.
that in the
I
first
think
quarter.
Brady posted a graphic, one of the guys in our group who, it was Georgia. I think Georgia had the ball for 1 minute and 41 seconds and had 7 points.
That's tough. That's tough on the D. For
Yes.
Sure.
But anyway, we still after that little cycle went away, we just started rolling. I mean, the game was pretty much over when that one sequence went of, I believe did we stop them on fourth down? No. Was there some sort of? It was the off the helmet interception. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That sequence is what won the game essentially, or what? Yeah, right there, because you went off the helmet interception, and the very next play was the Ladd McConkey deep ball touchdown. There was no time in between those, and so in those two plays, Georgia essentially won the game right there. In my opinion, there was no looking back.
I mean, the other big play we're talking about is the blocked kick, which that's a huge swing because it's going to be 3 points for LSU. Instead, 7 for us, which just a bizarre play. Usually when the ball stops, it's blown dead or whatever. But I think they saw like he's about to pick it up. We're not going to call it dead. And all the LSU players just walking off the field.
What's a live
like,
ball on a field goal?
Yeah. I don't
until it comes to a rest. And so,
Yeah.
the way, and so they actually had Gene Steratore on the broadcast. I remember he gave the ruling is that the ball is blown dead when it comes to a rest after a blocked field goal, unless there is a player in the area that could recover.
Return it. Yeah.
And since it wasn't Javon Bullard,
Chris
it was
Smith.
Chris Smith. Since Chris Smith was just standing over the
He
ball,
was waiting for them to get off the field. Do you see that?
And
He's
then-
like watching them.
And then I don't know. I don't know. I want to give our players credit. I'm not sure that's how that.
I think
that's
it
why
was.
he did that. I think
Well-
it's because he literally was like, I really don't know if I can take this back or not. And because it was all the other Georgia players too were like they were literally telling him. You could see Jamon Dumas Johnson was waving his hands like it was a punt, basically.
Yeah.
And so Javon looks over at the LSU sideline, or I did it again. Chris Smith looks over at the LSU sideline, and it just picks it up and runs with it. I don't know, Blake. I hope
I'll
you're
give him
right,
credit
but
only
I
because
don't-
some sideline reporters are saying that he was looking at their sideline, like talking
Like,
about Chris
they're
Smith,
all-
like he's watching them. I don't know the truth behind
Well, he
it.
did
but-
look at their sideline.
He
It very
was,
clear. He
yes.
looked over at their sideline.
Yeah, so I want to give him the credit for it, but yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. I mean, I don't know 100%, but
Either way, it was really cool. It's shit that doesn't
Yeah.
ever happen to us.
Incredible play.
And it
Both of those,
happened.
the helmet interception and that are both like
Yes.
plays that are going to live on in Georgia history for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and the weird part is like that's our first SEC championship win under Kirby,
No,
right? No, second?
Second.
When was the first?
The year we went to the national championship and
Then lost Alabama. That's right. You're right.
We beat Auburn.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but it just felt. I don't know. It felt good. It felt good to win.
First
this
in
game.
5 years.
That's right.
Better way to
the-
look at it.
The weird thing for me, I guess it's not weird, but we keep doing this. Why do we start off so conservatively every game?
I don't think it's fine.
You think
I mean,
so?
I think that they have a game script. I think they're starting off that way for a reason. And who are we to argue with it? It clearly works. They're doing something right.
It did.
Yeah.
And I think it's good they actually aired it out on us
yeah.
because I think it's going to be a good practice for Ohio State.
It does. There's a lot of that whole second half is now a lot of film that Kirby and the boys can dissect and get better from, in my opinion. Because that kind of leads me to what I wanted to talk about from the Blursed of the week that I gave, which is that Ohio State is our opponent. And I went and looked it up because of how dangerous they are through the air. They're the second ranked total offense in the entire nation. But I thought that was more from more from passing the football. They're more balanced than I thought, though. If you guys just had to guess, I've got it pulled up here on College Football Reference. Where do you think they rank overall in passing offense? Not total offense, passing offense.
I'd assume top 20.
Passing yards per game.
I guess top 5.
See, that's where I was. What Hayden said, Blake, you're closer to right, even though you gave kind of a pussy answer. But yeah,
usually doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's because they're 14th in passing offense. Georgia's actually 19th in passing offense. We're right there next to them. Yeah, they passed for just under 300.
How close is that between 14th and like 5th?
Very close. Exactly 10 yards.
Yeah, so like
of difference. They pass for 294 a game, and we do 284.
Okay, between us. Okay,
yeah, again, an average. Okay, yeah. The rushing offense is actually closer than you'd think too. They average 198 a game to our 207.
Wow, they do rush more than I thought they did.
Yeah,
I will say though, their opponents. I just feel like their opponents aren't super great.
I certainly agree with that. But there was the thing. Honestly, this really isn't related to the segment, but is surprised the hell out of me. Because of how this school, and they're a Georgia school, so it does still count toward this podcast. But the way that we've all grown up with this football program, and I'm talking about Georgia Southern here. Georgia Southern has always been a triple option program, no matter what coach they hire. When they had Paul Johnson, and they went to Jeff Monken after him, who went to Army later, I believe. They always try to run that triple option offense. It's their thing. Well, I don't think they do anymore. I haven't kept up with Georgia Southern this year, but Clay Helton is their head coach, former USC head coach, Clay Helton. And they actually have the 4th-ranked passing offense in the nation. Which
dang.
I had
the what?
In the entire nation.
I missed the first part.
They have the 4th-ranked passing offense.
Wow.
Georgia Southern does. They pass for 327 yards per game. And they throw the ball an average of 47 times per game.
That'll get people to come watch your games.
Yeah, I just thought that was crazy. I don't even know how good they're doing this year. Let me look.
So I'm looking at
they're 6-6.
I'm looking at Ohio State's record this year and who they played, who they beat.
Yeah.
Their best wins are against number 19 ranked Notre Dame. They won 21-10.
Notre Dame.
They beat Penn State, who's ranked number 9 right now, 44-31.
Go on.
And that's it. That's the only top 25 teams they beat all year.
Wow.
They almost lost to Northwestern. I mean, it's 21-7, but that game was much closer for most of that game. And also, just recently, Ohio State's second best wide receiver announced that he will not be playing in the college football playoffs.
Oh, really?
So
what's the deal?
Ohio State star Jackson Smith Njigba tells ESPN that he's declaring for the NFL draft and will not participate in the college football playoff, and that he's their second best behind Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, so, he's the one that went off in that bowl game last year.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, he had 250 receiving yards.
And he was considered
coming off an injury or something, or like no reason for doing this.
That's just what it says.
I actually hadn't heard that though, Blake. That's huge.
Yeah, it's super
huge. He can't
huge.
play. That's wild.
Yeah, no, he's heading in the draft. He's out for the college. He posted a whole thing on Twitter to Ohio State fans saying like, appreciate all you did, all this, blah, blah, blah. But he's not playing. So him not playing actually, I think, hurts them big time. Because I will say this. I like Aaron, a little concerned about the pass heavy attack because we did just show some weakness in the last game, even though we held wasn't it Hendon Hooker pretty well? Yeah. But Ohio State's a different animal. Like that's what they have some great receivers, but with him being out, I feel a lot more confident about that game.
Yeah.
I also think LSU's backup quarterback was a good practice. Like he looked like Joe Burrow light.
Yeah,
like,
Garrett Nussmeier. We need to look out for him next year.
Yes.
I believe he's going to be their starting quarterback.
He was good.
He almost threw for 300 yards in that second half. He threw for 294.
Wow.
With two tutties. He did throw a really bad interception.
It was bad.
It kind of made sure any sort of comeback they were having was done, which they weren't really having a comeback.
Yeah.
But They put up some yards and points.
So here's the thing about the Dogs. Stetson Bennett has been so elite in big games.
Happened again.
Yeah, happened again. That I'm not worried about the college football playoffs.
No.
And the reason I say is because this.
Falling out. He's a gamer.
Yeah, our defense is better than any team in the college football playoff. I don't think it's close.
Or the nation.
Yes, or the nation, exactly. Our offense is. Are we top 5 offense?
I think so. Well, what you keep talking. I'll look at.
All right. So our offense is top 5, probably top 10 at least. But like between those two facts, the only time this year you've ever were held to was 26 points at least we scored all year. No, 16.
No, we had 16. Yeah,
but that was a very different game script.
It was, and it was bad weather. It was very cold, it was super windy. And it was on the road. And
this is a home game now. That playing in Atlanta. This Kirby's coaching. This is a home game. He's telling all of his players, "This is a home game. You better go protect your home."
Yeah. We actually fallen out of the top 10. I guess maybe the Kentucky game hurt us a little bit, and maybe some other stumbles. But yeah, we're 11th in total offense in the nation.
Okay, 11th.
I mean, look at the line from Stet though. 23 for 29, 274 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Was it one of y'all who shared his stats against top 25 earlier today? Compared to the other top quarterbacks?
Yeah, everybody's having that discussion right now after that big game, which, rightfully so, of if he should be a Heisman candidate. And that's something we discussed before the season started and where we thought it would land. And it's been up and down a little bit.
He may get the invitation, maybe, though.
I think because of this game, for sure. But Hayden also said in the group, you got to do it against everybody to win the Heisman.
Yeah, no, yes, I agree.
That's the thing. You get the powder puff games or whatever, and you have to throw up a ton of big numbers to actually be in the conversation.
But he's also got benched when we're ahead.
That's true.
4 or 5 times.
But and to that same point, I don't think there's a clear-cut Heisman winner this year at all.
No, I don't think so either.
It might have been Caleb Williams if they had beaten Utah and he had a good game.
Oh, and they looked so bad.
Yeah, but they just looked terrible.
Was the TCU quarterback, people think he might win it now? Was maybe
that Duggan or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it is this. It's obvious that Stetson Bennett's not the best quarterback in college football. It's obvious. But you can't deny the fact he shows up in big games.
He's
you
really,
can't
really
deny
good,
it.
Though.
He didn't even get the fade before this game. That was propaganda. It was going around on Twitter. But he showed up at the game. He hadn't gotten a haircut 2-3 weeks, it looked like. So
he better get one.
That was fake
news.
Yeah, he's like,
you
know
what? I
think
he broke through. I think he doesn't need it anymore.
Kirby put that picture out to keep everybody calm. Everybody's nervous, and then it's oh, thank God he got a haircut. We're good. We're good.
Dude, how good's Brock Bowers?
Gosh,
he's so good.
He's a freak, man. It felt like every big name on our offense did something. It felt like.
Yeah, I mean Brock. I'm looking at his stats: 6 for 81 and a touchdown. Ladd had 5 for 69. Nice.
Is he okay?
And a touchdown. Oh, great question. I meant to look up a Ladd injury report. I'll do that real quick for you guys.
Look it up. I'll read through
What really helps the Dogs that none of these other teams have is how balanced our team is. That's really the biggest strength to the Dogs. They're just so balanced.
Yeah. Yeah, it opens up the pass game too when you have a running offense like that. I mean, Kendall Milton coming out of nowhere these last couple weeks.
That's my boy.
We'd kind of written him off, and he looks like he has some fresh legs from not playing that much this year.
Yeah, I think the injury stuff
8 carries for 113 yards. Edwards had 77 yards. McIntosh 55, but 2 tutties.
McIntosh is so quick. He's so quick. His lateral movement, his acceleration is nuts. But Kendall Milton was running with power. I don't know.
In fact, to that point, did y'all see Kendall Milton's line from this game? He only carried the ball 8 times, had 113 yards. That's wild.
Yeah, he had that one huge run though.
He did.
I think we just said that while you were looking up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you guys didn't hear that, 8 for 113.
Yes.
Blake, say it.
Yeah, Blake, let's make this a clean sweep.
113.
Wild. All right. Why'd you have to say it like it was my order at In-N-Out or something? What was that?
We're 113? 113?
Right. Anyway, here's a quote from Kirby.
Extra fries?
Ladd, he said about Ladd, he said, quote, "It's a continuation of what he's actually been dealing with throughout the year. He's had some tendonitis in his knee." And he said that after that hit, it started aggravating him a lot more. And that at halftime, they talked, and Ladd himself is actually the one that pulled himself out of the game. So to me, that tells me it's not that serious. It's a we're up 35-10 at halftime,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
don't. And I also am about to have like 3.5, 4 weeks of rest.
Yep.
Or not rest, but just not a game. So
Does this Dogs team remind y'all of like the James McElroy? Was it not? Was that his name? No, hold up. AJ
Greg?
McCarron. Who's the other guy? Who's the other quarterback? Greg McElroy. Does it kind of remind you of those Alabama teams where like they didn't have a great quarterback, but their teams were just so solid throughout, and the quarterback did just enough to win you the games? Like,
actually, no,
Better?
I disagree.
you think better?
Oh,
Yeah, I think he's way better than what Greg McElroy and AJ McCarron did at Alabama. They were the prototypical. I don't love the term game manager.
They were game managers,
but they
you're right.
did that. That's exactly what they were. They were the Trent Dilfers of college football.
I'm not going to bring up that name.
And they did it well. But Stet is not that.
He can win you a game.
We win big games because Stet balls out, and the defense is really, really good.
Yeah.
But and that wasn't the case with AJ McCarron and Greg McElroy. I mean, they won big games because they had Trent Richardson and Derrick Henry and a defensive all-star team. That's why they won their championship.
Question: does Stetson Bennett get drafted if he wins a back-to-back national championships?
No.
I don't think so.
Still no. Wow.
Yeah, still no.
I think you're right.
I think he might make a team. Definitely a practice squad
undrafted
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he should go ahead and
he's
start.
probably worth picking up. He'll be a
Yeah.
good practice squad player.
Sure.
Somebody to help.
He might be a
scout.
Falcon. Might be a Falcon scout team.
Plus, I mean, that's why would the NFL coaches see the pattern that led to his success and try to change that? I mean, no one believing in him coming into college.
Yeah, you can't draft
is what
a guy.
led to
You
this.
can't- you're right.
So,
You
like,
can't ban him.
this dude might win a couple Super Bowls for me if I just practice
Well-
squad for a couple of years.
Well, I don't like that people are pointing this out to Stet's detriment. He is 25 years old, so that doesn't help his draft stock.
Not at all.
But people are saying like, "Oh, can you believe this guy acting like he's Christ himself, throwing
Yeah, I saw that
around on
meme.
18,
Yeah.
19-year-olds? Fuck off. All right?
Yeah.
You can't
You
go out there right now
yeah.
and do that. I don't
Yeah.
know who you are. But
Yeah,
you
if
can't
you're-
go do that right now.
His age is not the problem. All right. I
No.
just turned 30. All right. I'm 10 to 12 to 7 years older than a lot of those dudes, 5 with Stet. But I still wouldn't be, none of us could do anything close to what they're doing. And it has
No.
nothing to do that with the fact that we're
asinine
grown
stuff.
men.
Not because we're older. It's like you get
No.
exponentially better at
Yeah. It's like
better
No,
athleticism
there's
as you get older. It
declining
goes
age.
down.
He's close
Yeah.
to it. Yeah, he's
Look,
getting there.
the age making you a better athlete thing, that stops when you're like, or when you're in high school, basically. Like,
Yeah.
if,
the
for
if
most
you're,
people, yeah.
if you and your cousins and what I mean by that is if you and your cousins when you guys were 12 and 14 or whatever in middle school and y'all were at Thanksgiving and you played with your cousin who like was an ex-D1 athlete who's 37 now, and yeah, he's probably gonna kick all y'all's ass, but that's because he's 37. Now that same dude, if you guys were 22 and he's now 41 or whatever, you're probably gonna beat him, and it has nothing to do with age there.
Yeah.
Probably injuries too, because that person probably can't walk anymore.
Yeah, I'm imagining his knees are bad. This fictitious character
Yes.
I've created.
I feel bad for him. God
Yeah,
dang, I can't stop
something
thinking
else.
about him now.
I
Wow.
know.
Something else
Yeah.
Heisman
Shout out.
related.
Shout out to my
Blake,
boy.
Blake Corum was in the Heisman watch for so long, but the last 2 weeks he hasn't played, and the Michigan running backs gotten like 200 yards both weeks. Is Blake Corum good, or is it just like the byproduct of their system?
Well, it's just how running backs are. Running backs are the most useless, or not useless. It's the most
It's disposable.
God, thank you, disposable, less needed position on the entire team.
I think you're right.
That's
You
why
just gotta
running
be
back depth is
athletic.
so important, especially in the NFL too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's also why they shouldn't be really drafted highly typically, because the difference between a first round running back and then like Philip Lindsay that you find on
Yeah. Very negligible.
Yeah, not that big of a difference. It more
Nope.
depends on like your line.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Tyler Algier is a perfect example. 5th round pick. He's been really impressive, I thought, for the Falcons.
Even better
Hey,
example, Caleb Huntley.
Caleb Huntley. Yeah.
Yeah,
Super explosive.
exactly.
Out of
And I mean,
nowhere.
look at what you get with drafting other players at that same spot. If you don't draft a running back, you might get an offensive tackle that stays with your team for the next 15 years
On
as
a good deal
and as a
and, yeah.
9-time All-Pro.
Right.
But if you draft a really good running back, Najee Harris, you might have a really good running back for 4 years, and then he's going to go to another team
Yeah.
for either a really
Well, because
good
they play
deal.
themselves out of their own deal because they're not as good as they were 4 years before that. I 100% agreed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Well, they run him into the ground.
Yeah,
You
their
only got so many
depreciation
carries
rate
in you
is
unless you're
so
Derrick
high.
Henry.
Yes, I heard
Yeah.
something. I heard it was Mike Bell again talking about Cordell Patterson. He goes, "Why did we not run more with Cordell Patterson on Sunday?" I was like, "Well, one, if you watch the game, I feel like all three of our running backs were feasting. It didn't have to be Cordell Patterson, but two, Cordell Patterson's 30 years old. Like he's freaking old for a running back. Like he's had a lot of wear and tear on his body.
He has.
Is it worth?
Although
watching him
he was
die
not a
for
running
us
back
to-
early in his career, so
True,
that
but
might
he's
be one
still-
reason he's got some carries left in him.
But he still did a lot of kickoff returns and other stuff. It's not like he's taking no hits. But yeah, I agree what you're saying.
Yeah. But okay. Yes. All right. So let's see. Are we fading out of the dog segment there? Or do we have
Do we
more
have
things to
anything
talk about?
left?
I didn't say that.
I think we've pretty much covered it all there.
Who are y'all rooting for in the World Cup?
Croatia? I
Yeah,
have no.
we'll go.
Didn't
with
they
Croatia.
lost in the final last time, right?
Yes, they played
And they-
France.
They played France.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see a redemption arc.
Yeah,
I want to see Argentina win. I want to see Messi get it.
yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Brazil looked beautiful today.
They
God,
did.
they look good.
Brazil looked really, really good.
Brazil.
But I don't
Brazil.
want them to win it.
Me neither.
England. Oh, duh. That's I don't know why I didn't say that earlier. England definitely is who I want to win it all.
Cool.
Now the
Why?
USA. God, I don't know why I forgot about that.
It's because you like England.
It's because he
I
likes
just-
calling it football.
Yeah, so I just feel such a connection to England. I don't know. I'm an Anglophile. Okay, I know I said that earlier in the podcast. Or
Yeah.
Have you
in
done
an
Have you
earlier
done
podcast.
ancestry? Are you like
Mm.
you have any ties back over there to the motherland?
I'm imagining most white folks here do.
King George is actually his great granddaddy.
Yeah,
You heard it here
Descendant.
first.
but no, I adore their culture. It's part of why I started to love soccer so much. And yeah, I just that England team is filled with a ton of Premier League stars, and I watch the hell out of that league. So it's pretty cool to see them do well.
Yeah,
Plus,
God.
their goalie is my favorite team's goalie, Jordan Pickford.
Is
He's
it Everton's goalie?
Yeah, he's Everton's goalie.
Nice.
Hey,
You know who is so impressive too? Matt Turner. I was very impressed by him.
Yeah, he did really
Yeah, he
really
did a
well.
great job.
He's
U.S.
good.
keeper.
Yeah,
He did a great
That's-
job.
that's talking soccer.
Yeah.
That
And
is
that's
talking
Sam Soccer Seg.
Yeah, Sam Soccer Seg.
All right, so right here, right over what I'm saying right now, I'm gonna put the new song that Oh No sent us this week. So
Heyo.
hope you guys enjoy this. Listen to the whole thing, and shout out to our guy. He's on our link tree, so if you want to check out more of his work,
Please
see
do.
it there.
Wait,
Thank you.
He does great stuff.
they announced the Heisman finalists.
Oh,
Hell, fucking
Breaking
guy.
news: Stetson Bennett is one of them.
Hey, are you serious?
So here's the Heisman Trophy
Oh.
finalists. It's Stetson Bennett, Max Duggan, C.J. Stroud, and Caleb Williams.
Dude,
Wow.
who has benefited more from just hanging around more than Steph?
Stetson may
That's
win the
crazy,
Heisman.
man.
I mean, he's playing well, and I appreciate his efforts, but man, he's just hanging around,
That is
and then
crazy.
everything's just coming to him now.
We
It's
said
awesome.
at the beginning of the season that he could be a Heisman candidate, and there he is.
oh, we did. Yeah.
Blursed,
I think
dude.
that was one of our bold takes. Yeah, that
It was.
he would get Heisman votes. So
Mhm.
hey,
I
we
think
made
we
it,
said
guys.
I think we said
made it.
undefeated, national champions, back to back, and we said Heisman, and wow.
Here
Hey.
we are. Oh, Blake,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Not to extend this further, Hayden, but
God
Blake,
damn
weren't you
it.
looking up something else earlier?
Yeah, I listened to it. Nate came out and said that he would never tell a player not to come to a game. It says it's the most asinine thing he's ever heard.
Oh, so he's actually denying that report is
yeah,
true.
he's saying that report's wrong, and he said
Ah.
that there was something private that happened between him and Trey. He's going to keep it private because he respects his
Well,
players.
honestly, I believe that. and
I do
think that's-
too. I
that's
like.
good.
I'd have no issue with Nate, and I don't think Nate would come out and say something like all Nate said was a miscommunication, and he's going to stick with that and say something private,
Right.
and that's what it is. So,
Okay, sick. Well, thanks for listening.
Is that it, guys? Fucking hell! All right,
Apparently-
I'll start over.
30.
apparently,
I got the-
wait. I got something else.
Oh my god!
Apparently, Hawks
I was
play-by-play
I was
actually passed out during the broadcast, blacked out on air. Bob Rathbun.
Wait, Steve Holman?
no, like the TV one, Bob Rathbun.
Oh, Bob Rathbun?
Apparently, he seemed to black out on air.
What?
He's awake and conscious. He's being taken to the hospital. Yeah.
Bob Rathbun. I'm a
Yeah, that's
big
what he
Bob
sounds
Rathbun
like. Yeah.
fan. It is,
like,
yeah.
kind of like that.
It's kind of a downer. Kind of a downer there, Blake. Thanks for that.
Sorry. I
Wow.
breaking news. We
Now
just gotta-
I have to get back up here
Well,
for
and
the outro.
to Blake's little thing there at the end, that actually, it ties into what we were talking about earlier. Mike Bell from 99, he makes fun of Bob Rathbun all the time. It's insane how much he makes fun of him. Anyway,
Maybe
hope he's
not-
doing well.
Maybe not today. Maybe not today.
P's and T's.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to moot you guys so I can
Moot?
get out of
You're
this
gonna moot
fucking
us?
episode. Okay.
Moot.
So here,
Moot.
right here, what I'm saying right now, this is going to be where we put Oh No's music because we had to start it way later now, 5 minutes ago. Thank you everybody for listening. If you're new here, leave a review, only if it's 5 stars. If you don't think we're 5 stars worthy, just shoot us a text or something. We'll make some
tweet
adjustments.
at us.
Whatever. We'll be all right. Check us out on the YouTubes, TikToks, all that shit. We're there on the line. Later.
Aaron's just not gonna say bye.